Something has happened within ODM and with Raila Odinga that has sent shockwaves right across the country. People are shocked. Others are confused. Because the same Raila Odinga, who still fully supports the Adani airport deal, you remember that one? Raila now says, in fact he called a meeting of ODM legislators, a parliamentary group meeting, and told the MPs, stop these two-term manenos, kumi bila break, stop it. In other words, they were ordered to stop supporting William Ruto's bid for re-election to the presidency of the Republic of Kenya. Eish! And that's not all. There was something else that happened at that meeting that raised a lot of eyebrows. People didn't understand. But maybe that is the nature of our politics these days. Things happen and people don't understand. Of course, some people come up with amazing theories, stories ajaba, super theories that for those of us who understand politics makes zero sense. But the truth is, Raila has made a move that does not make sense. It is not consistent with the brand new Raila Odinga, Rafiki Ruto. It is not consistent. So what is going on here? Karibu sana to my show today, where we take a deep look at this latest political development that has left many Kenyans with mshangao. Karibuni sana. Twende kazi. It seems to have become the norm for things to unfold in Kenyan politics, or sometimes for somebody like an analyst to come across evidence that suggests something they do not want to believe. That seems to be normal. For instance, if I can just give you a quick example, there is information that is very difficult to believe about the Ruto administration. Something the Ruto administration is doing, and there's clue after clue, evidence after evidence to suggest that that is exactly what they're doing. But this thing they're doing, how? This is not Ruto's character. Kwani amefinywa aje? How can he actually think of doing something like this? Actually, that is the topic of my very latest red hot special report. Stay with me. I'll talk a little more about that towards the tail end of my show. So this one was also surprising, this Raila one. You know, when Raila called a parliamentary group meeting for ODM, politicians, and especially legislators, MPs in parliament, if you had asked any analyst, even me, if you had asked me, I'd have told you, the agenda there is very predictable. They're going to discuss how they're going to support two-term. Yeah? They're going to discuss how they're going to be more effective in supporting Ruto after their MOU, their marriage. Yeah? And now, there's a lot of lovey-dovey between Raila Odinga and William Ruto. That is exactly what people would have told you. That is exactly what I'd have told you. But surprise, surprise, that is not what happened at that meeting. In fact, the meeting started with a bang. There was a PowerPoint presentation, wait for this one, on how ODM can exit the MOU with UDA. Hey, ilitoka wapi? Now we all know that in life, many things are linked. And especially in politics, virtually everything is linked. Most things are linked. Therefore, out of the blue, out of nowhere, somebody comes up with the presentation how ODM can exit the arrangement with UDA. Now, do you think somebody would have wasted their time coming up with that PowerPoint presentation if there was no reason for it? Think about it. Okay, that is still nagging my brain. Okay, now Raila topped it all with a cease and desist order. Wacheni kabisa. Stop with immediate effect endorsing Ruto for 2027. Now, that came as a shock, because all wakubas of ODM, that is all they've been doing. Junet Mohammed, have you listened to him lately? He's singing the praises of Ruto and how Ruto is going to get re-elected in 2027. And this is Junet Mohammed. You know how close Junet Mohammed is to Baba? Eish. But that's what Raila said. What's going on here? What does this mean? Raila emphasized that nobody at this stage can rule out ODM presenting a presidential candidate in 2027. Yeah, which of course means somebody to oppose the Ruto. The same Ruto they're singing praises about every minute, every second. Currently. Ish. Let's dive into it and try and make some sense out of this. Okay? Now, if I can back up a little, I have been wondering, as I observe closely the political development in the country, I have been wondering, how are ODM going to campaign for Ruto? How exactly are they going to do it? Because I believe we all know the response of Kenyans currently to anything that is Ruto. And I believe the president is aware of this. He has the National Intelligence Service. He has provincial administration writing reports every day. He has this information for sure. Okay? So I was wondering, how are ODM going to do it? Even in Luo Nyanza, how are they going to do it? Now, the latest utterances by Raila can make sense in the following way. Okay? You're trying to campaign. It is proving to be very difficult because the ground is hostile towards Ruto. And therefore you decide, in order to be able to penetrate the ground, get a soft landing, at least to start to launch this campaign, then the best move is to say you are not supporting Ruto's re-election bid for 2027. And that is supposed to free you so that now people can listen to what you have to say. Because when you remove Ruto from the equation, people will now start listening to what you're saying. Don't you think that makes sense? That is a high possibility. And of course, the way this game would end, theoretically, is that as soon as you've gotten your supporters going, carried the emotions, as soon as there's that conversation with your supporters going, you build it up to a kind of climax. And then just before the elections, you tell your supporters, let's just endorse Ruto. Let's vote for him. And then in that high of theirs, you know the high people get into during political campaigns. In that drunkardness of campaigns, they will theoretically shift like zombies and vote for Ruto to a man. Okay? All theory, I must emphasize that, all theory, I don't think Kenyans will respond like that. Kumedhoka. The other possibility is that this could be from the Raila Odinga playbook, election playbook, because it has happened before. Raila Odinga's NDP, National Development Party, merged with KANU, Moise KANU. In fact, Raila Odinga became a Secretary General of that party. Actually, KANU just swallowed Raila's NDP. And therefore, Raila was the Secretary General of the much hated, much lost KANU party of Moi. And then what happened? As the elections approached, suddenly, Raila bailed. And remember, at the time he bailed, He was not a popular politician in Kenya because of his association with Kanu. But when he built, guess what? Raila is the man who decided the next president of Kenya. Because Raila was the one who at Uhuru Park said, Kibaki tosha. And then carried out a campaign for Kibaki that delivered the presidency to Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki. And so, it is quite possible that this is 2001-2002 playing out yet again. Okay, or at least in the mind of Raila Odinga and top bosses in ODM, that could be the plan. And remember, all this is happening at a time when ODM people within this UDA government are under intense pressure. Even Raila Odinga is under intense pressure. Why? Because those close to Ruto keep on complaining and saying Raila is not adding any value to government. Raila is not giving any advantage to William Samoei Ruto. Because the reason why this marriage happened, these people say, is because they expected Raila to carry his massive support directly into the Ruto camp. Well, clearly that has not happened. And therefore, these Ruto people are saying, no, this man is wasting our time. Anakula ugali na nyama yetu ya bure. Hakuna kitu anadeliver. That is what they're saying, and they're complaining. And of course, this has put intense pressure on Raila Odinga. It has also put intense pressure on this marriage. Although these handlers of Ruto are not aware, or they're pretending not to be aware of the fact that Ruto has no other option left. You tell me, what other option does he have? He has no other option. Okay? Raila is his last card. Okay? And of course, when you play a last card, even if it doesn't turn out how you expected, you don't have any other card to play. Okay? That is really the political situation. So, which of these two possibilities do I think is the correct one to explain what Raila Odinga here is doing? Okay? Now, I need to emphasize that at that meeting, Raila Odinga also said that they are still in the MOU with UDA. Okay? They are still working with UDA. However, if UDA does not fulfill its end of the bargain, because there are some things UDA are supposed to do, the government is supposed to do and achieve for this marriage to hold, if they don't deliver, then UDA are going to pull out. That is what Raila Odinga emphasized. Now, I believe we all know that Ruto's UDA has not delivered on any of the demands from the ODM side in this marriage. They have not. And so probably what Raila meant is they're giving the government more time, they're giving Ruto more time to deliver those things that is supposed to deliver. Anyway, to answer that question, in my opinion, the biggest clue that came out as to what Raila is really thinking was when he made a very curious statement. He said that ODM may or may not field a presidential candidate in 2027. Now. What does that mean? Maybe to be clear, let's give a hilarious everyday example that younger subscribers of this channel will be able to understand immediately. Unatuma fare kwa mrembo. Okay, you send money, transport money to your girlfriend to come and visit you. And then you have a discussion after that, and she says, I may or I may not come. What does she actually mean? In my opinion, as somebody who was once a young man, the way I would interpret it is that she's not coming. Right? I may or I may not come. That is a kind way of telling you, Sikuji, but she doesn't want to hurt your feelings so brutally. So she tells you, I may or I may not come. Okay, so let's come back to Raila's statement. ODM may or may not field a presidential candidate. In my opinion, it means they will not field a presidential candidate. What do you think? Please tell me in the comments area. But that's my opinion. Okay? Now what this means is that what is being played here is political poker. It means that Raila Odinga is still supporting Ruto to the hilt. Okay? And what he's trying to do here is to make it possible for him to do what he's supposed to do in this marriage, and that is campaign effectively for Ruto. And as we have already said, it is proving impossible for anybody to campaign for the president while mentioning his name. So a good alternate strategy is to campaign as if you're campaigning for yourself, and then last minute shift your supporters to the target. Okay? Hey, sijui Ruto alipatia Raila nini. I don't know what Raila smoked or ate at Ruto's table. What? Hey, I'm really amazed. Okay, I can't hide my amazement, because I've followed the career of Raila Odinga for decades. Okay? And whatever people may say now, whatever insults they're throwing at Raila, there are those of us who know Raila. And what Raila is doing here, the way he's behaving, does not make sense. Okay? And I believe it is also true that a lot of things which are unfolding in the country called Kenya right now don't make sense. Especially for those who want to observe things very closely. They just don't make sense. And so one needs to ask, one must ask, what is going on? What is really going on? What is the end game here? Actually, the answer to that question is extremely shocking. And it is contained in my very latest special report, which explains a lot. And I'm sure you appreciate all this is very highly sensitive information. You can see details on your screens right now on how to get hold of it. For only Kenya shillings 2,999. We have reduced the price. You'll be able to get this very latest special report that will give you badly needed answers and will also shock you to your bones. Because what it reveals, you will not believe. There is no way you'll believe. But all the evidence points in that direction. And not just one piece of evidence. Indeed, as the days go by, every single day, or at least every other day, something happens that supports this conclusion. This very shocking conclusion. Of course, the most convenient way of ensuring that you not only get this latest special report, but all the other previous special reports of the past and all special reports in the future is to get the Kumekucha golden key. You can see details on your screens right now. We're in the absolute last minute Lala Salama session of this. So if you're in a position to, please move with speed and secure for yourself the golden key, the golden pass, which will guarantee that you get everything Kumekucha without ever needing to worry ever again about payment. And this is a permanent thing. It's not annual. It doesn't last 2 years. It is permanent. Okay? So you'll appreciate that the price of only Kenya shilling 6,333 is very low. It is a really good offer. Because when this offer ends, this will cost 3 or at least 2.5 times more than this. So please rush and take full advantage. Of course, if you're not in a position, you can still get only this special report for the price of Kenya shillings 2,999, and that will help you solve that mystery. Okay? Which I believe is a key mystery to solve, because it speaks to the immediate future of the country called Kenya. Until next time, this is Chris Kumekucha.